Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Shinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Udayantasto hi Abhadrani Vidunoti Suhitshatam अष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवते उत्तम श्लोके भक्ति भवति नैष्टिकी. Today we are reading from Canto 4, Chapter 4, verses 26 and 27. Verse 26. Evam swadeham mahatam mahiyasa muhus samaropitam ankam adharat जिहासति दक्षरुषा मनस्विनी ददारा गत्रेष्वनिलाग्नि धारणम. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. In order to give up her body, which had been so respectfully and affectionately seated on the lap of Lord Shiva, who is worshipped by great sages and saints, Sati, due to anger towards her father, began to meditate on the fiery air within the body. Purport. Lord Shiva is described herein as the best of all great souls. Although Sati body was born of Daksha, Lord Shiva used to adore her by sitting her on his lap. This is considered a great token of respect. The Sati body was not ordinary, but still she decided to give it up because it was the source of unhappiness because of its connection with Daksha. This severe example set by Sati is to be followed. One should be extremely careful about associating with persons who are not respectable to the higher authorities. It is therefore instructed in the Vedic literature that one should always be free from the association of atheists and non-devotees and should try to associate with devotees. For by association of the devotee, one can be elevated to the platform of self-realization. This injunction is stressed in many places in Srimad Bhagavatam. If one wants to liberate it from the clutches of material existence, then one has to associate with great souls. And if one wants to continue one's material existential life, then one may associate with the person who are materialistic. The materialistic way of life is based on the sex life. Thus, both becoming addicted to sex life and associating with persons who are addicted to sex life are condemned in the Vedic literature because such association will simply interfere with one's spiritual progress. However, association with great personalities, devotees who are great souls, will elevate one to the spiritual platform. Sati Devi decided to quit the body she had obtained from Daksha's body, and she wanted to transfer herself to another body so that she might have completely uncontaminated association with Lord Shiva. Of course, it is understood that in her next life she would take birth as the daughter of the Himalayas, Parvati, and then she would again accept Lord Shiva as her husband. Sati and Lord Shiva are eternally related. Even after she changes her body, their relationship is never broken. Verse 27. Tata swabhartus charanambujaswam Jagadguroschintayati na chaparam Dadarsha deho ata kamalasa sati Sadhya prajavala samadhi jagnina. Translation. Sati concentrated all her meditation on the holy lotus feet of her husband, Lord Shiva, who is supreme spiritual master of all the world. Thus she became completely cleansed of all the taints of sin and quit her body in blazing fire by meditation on the fiery elements. Purport. Sati at once thought of lotus feet of her husband, Lord Shiva, who is one of the three great personalities of Godhead in charge of the management of the material world. and simply by meditating on his lotus feet, she derived such great pleasure that she forgot everything in relationship with her body. This pleasure was certainly material because she gave up her body for another body that was also material. But by this example, we can appreciate the devotee's pleasure in concentrating his mind and attention on the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, Vishnu or Krishna. There is such a transcendental bliss by simply meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord that one can forget everything but Lord's transcendental form. This is the perfection of yogic samadhi or ecstasy. In this verse, it is stated that by such meditation, she became free from all contamination. What was that contamination? The contamination was her concept of the body deprived from Daksha. But she forgot that body relationship in trance. The purport is that when one becomes free from all bodily relationships within this material world and simply places himself in the position of an eternal servant of the Supreme Lord, it is to be understood that all the contamination of material attachment has been burned by the blazing fires of transcendental ecstasy. It is not necessary for one to manifest a blazing fire externally. For if one forgets all bodily relationships within this material world and becomes situated in spiritual identity, it is said that one has been freed from all material contamination by the blazing fire of yogic samadhi or ecstasy. That is the topmost perfection of yoga. If one keeps his bodily relationship with the material with this material world and poses himself as a great yogi is not a bona fide yogi. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 4, verse 15, it is stated, Yat Kirtanam, Yat Smaranam, simply by chanting the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, simply by remembering the lotus feet of Krishna, simply by offering prayer to Supreme Lord, Personality of Godhead, one is immediately freed from material contamination. The material bodily concept by blazing fire of ecstasy, this effect takes place immediately without a second's delay. According to Sri Jiva Goswami, that Sati quits her body means that she gave up within her heart her relationship with Daksha. Sri Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura also comments that since Sati is the superintendent deity of the external potency, when she quit her body, she did not get a spiritual body, but simply transferred from the body she had received from Daksha. Other commentators also say that she immediately transferred herself into the womb of Menaka, her future mother. She gave up the body she had received from Daksha and immediately transferred herself to another better body. But this does not mean that she got a spiritual body. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Itinamane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I'd like to seek blessings from all the assembled Vaishnavas and thank you for giving me this opportunity to purify myself. And please forgive me for any shortcomings. We are reading this fourth chapter, Sati quits her body, and we are in the section where Sati gives up her body. So, uh, why Sati is giving up her body? Because Sati got the body from Daksha, who is the greatest offender to the greatest Vaishnava, and she wants to give up her body because she doesn't want to tolerate Daksha insulting and disrespecting the one of the greatest uh, personality in this material world. So in the verse 24 and 25, as Ramana Prabhu discussed yesterday, when Sati decided to give up her body, she started meditating. She sat down on the ground facing the north and she closed her eyes, and she fully absorbed herself in the process of mystic yoga. And she also raised her uh, her life air, mixed with intelligence from the heart to the then gradually upwards to in between her eyebrows. So she has that mystic yoga. I think in that age, people have that yoga, and that is a real yoga. How they with all the niyamas and yamas, and she could able to do that. And here, um, you know, uh, one of the lecture I heard that soul has the power. Our soul has a power, and body is made of 5 elements. So with the soul, the of the power, one can use one can focus or meditate upon any element of the body. But here, Sati used the fire element in the body, and she meditated upon it. So, and it is also say like when somebody is mental, that means he's meditating on the mind, and like that, Sati meditated upon the fiery element to give up her body. And it's also said that when we get initiation, it is our second birth. So we have to forget our old body, or we forget our old body, and our current body become an instrument to serve the Krishna, instrument of a guru in the service of Krishna. So it's all about our consciousness, how we change our concentration from material element to spiritual elements. And coming to the verse 26, and it's been described in the translation and purport. Lord Shiva is the greatest in of souls, and Sati's body is not ordinary. Sati's body is a gifted body, because she affectionately seated on the lap of the Lord Shiva, who is the greatest devotee. So, and the but why she wants to give up her body is because she still has the unhappiness, because the source of her body is her connection with Father Daksha. So even though Sati has done it, we should not we should be careful following that. But what we can learn from this is we should be very careful about associating with the person who are not respecting the senior Vaishnavas or Vaishnavas. Even in the Nectar of Instruction, verses 2 and 3 talk about how what are the 6 uh, activities that are unfavorable to spiritual progress. Atyahara prayasascha prajalpo niyamagraha janasangascha laulyamcha shadbir bhaktir vinashyati. What are those 6 activities which are unfavorable to devotional service? Atyahara is eating more than necessary, and prayasa means over endeavoring for mundane things, and then the talking unnecessary about mundane subject, prajalpa, and practicing the rules and regulation only for sake of following, but not for spiritual advancement. And the 5th one is what talks about associating with the janasangasta, worldly minded persons who are not interested in the Krishna consciousness. And the last one is being greedy for mundane activities. So we are, even though we are, with Krishna's mercy and devotees' mercy, we are in Krishna consciousness. We are trying to follow our bhakti or practice our bhakti, and associating is important, because when we chant and when we do this morning association with the japa calls or other home programs, during that time our mind is in a right consciousness, and we are more enthusiastic, like as Mata Priya said, like the features we have, right? We may be very enthusiastic for some time, or for a day, or for hour or two. We still in the bhakti of in the sadhana bhakti, so we have all those feelings going up and down. We don't have a very study in the devotional service, but only way we can improve our steadiness and get elevated to the next stage of bhakti is by associating with the devotees, associating with the Bhagavatam, associating with the devotional service or devotional practices. So even Srila Narottama Thakura advised us, we only live in the association of Krishna conscious devotees, Bhakta Sane Vasa. And Srila Prabhupada, following his in the footsteps of his instruction by Guru, and engage in the service of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission, he has established this ISKCON, International Society of Krishna Consciousness, to give the people an opportunity to associate those who have not forgotten Krishna. And also this has becoming place or institution which will awaken the dormant Krishna consciousness in the persons who are in the material part of life or engaging in the material activity. And in the nectar of instruction, third sloka also talk about sangatyaga, abandoning the association of non-devotees is also very important. Associating with the devotees, not associating with the non-devotees, or avoiding the atheist and monistic philosophy, that will derail our faith, that will derail our spiritual progress. So, and it also says that whatever we do, there are there are impressions in our mind. So the more we keep the positive and spiritual impressions, that will keep, and that will become a engine for our life to progress in the Sri Krishna consciousness. But a lot of times we get distracted to watching different things, hearing different things and all, but obviously that impression takes more time, and then we have to undo those impressions. So that's where we should keep the positive impressions in the mind which are favorable to the Krishna consciousness. And here it says that Sati Devi quit the body she obtained from the Daksha's body, but she wanted to transfer her body to another body. And here it says that as Sati is took up her body from this life to next life, she take a birth as the daughter of Himalaya, as a Parvata. So that's why her name is called Parvati. And here it says that Sati and Lord Shiva both are eternally related. So even after she changes her body, their relationship is never broken. And the reason why she kept this material body is she has the highest service to do in this material world as a wife of Shiva. So, and in the next verse is talk about she concentrated her meditation on the whole lotus feet of her husband Lord Shiva, who is the supreme spiritual master of all the three worlds. And when one does that, she completely cleans off all her taints of sin, and she quit the body in a blazing fire, which she meditating upon. And as it says that when we can appreciate the devotee's pleasure, when some devotee concentrated fully his mind and attention onto the lotus feet of Supreme Lord, and one can get it the transcendental bliss. And this happens only in the perfection of yogic samadhi, in the ecstasy. And it says that one becomes free from all bodily relationships when one can fully surrender to the Krishna and focus his mind on Supreme Personality of Godhead and on at his lotus feet. And with that ecstasy, all the other spirit, material contaminations will be taken out. And Prabhupada always condemned that Mayavadis and people who are atheists and people who are not a bona fide yogi, who keep still bodily attachments, but poses himself as a great yogi or devotees, which has to be condemned. And in the Bhagavatam verse 2.4.15, the verse says that yat kirtanam and yat smaranam. So let me offer my respectable obeisances unto all auspicious Lord Krishna, about whom glorification, remembrance, audience, prayers, hearing, worship can be at once cleanse the effects of all sins of performers. So I think this is what happened when Sati meditated on the lotus feet of greatest devotee Shiva. She once become into a state of into a trance, and she got cleared by all the taints of sins and other. So according to Sila Goswami, in the Prabhupada mentioned in the purport at the end, Sati quits her body means she gave up her heart, her relationship with the Daksha. And Sila Chakravarti Thakur also comments that Sati is the superintendent deity of the external potency. When she quit her body, she did not get a spiritual body, but simply transferred from body she had received from the Daksha. And it's also mentioned by other commentators that she Sati transferred herself into the womb of Menaka, who is her future mother. So that so this telling that she got a material body and she transferred to the another material body because she has the duty to do because she is the superintendent deity of the external potency. So in summary, Sati body was not ordinary, and she just wanted to give up her body to take out the source of unhappiness because of her connection with the father Daksha. And how she achieved? She achieved with the perfection of yogic samadhi and mystic yoga. And with that, she forgot everything in the relationship with her body. And she quit body means, she gave up the relationship with father Daksha, and she transferred to the another body to serve, in her position as a in this world. and the main thing is association is important. We have to associate with the devotees, associate with the Bhagavatam, associate with any devotional service, associating with the non-devotees, and some associating with somebody who is not respecting the Vaishnavas to be condemned or avoided. With that, I can conclude. Vancha kalpatarupascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Please forgive me for any shortcomings. Hare Krishna.